If you want to manage your time like the top 1%, then today I'm revealing the tools and methods to be at least as productive. If you start out alone, then this guide is something you definitely must know. So coming to our first tip to manage your time like the top 1%, and that's to work on your mindset with so-called mini challenges. Throughout the past 10 years, I improved every bit of my life thanks to these methods. I started off as one of the worst students at high school to becoming one of the best in college. I went from a low-income household to a 6-figure salary. And from no one owning a business in my family to a company owner of 6 businesses. So you might ask right now, what are those mini challenges? For example, if there is a difficult exam I needed to pass, I asked myself, what if I would be the best in class? So what would it take me to achieve that? So that's an example for a mini challenge. And this approach is very different from setting goals. Because most of the times when we hear people talk about setting goals or having a clear plan, I found that this was not the right approach for me. Because at the end of the day, we associate with goals major accomplishments. But the path towards a goal is really uncertain because of the size of a goal. It's very human that sometimes you slip, sometimes you procrastinate, and sometimes you get lost in the list of to-dos. An example for a goal would be becoming the best student at college. But when you look at that goal very boldly, you can see that becoming the best at college requires actually a lot more from you. You have to be the best in every class, plus you have to do many extra stuff. But at the end of the day, when you achieve that goal, then you have a major accomplishment which everyone recognizes, right? But for people who are just starting out, then those goals is really much more than a burden than a solution. Let's just compare those two approaches. First one is the goal, becoming the best student in college, and the other one is, with our mini challenge, becoming the best in a difficult exam. It's clear that becoming the best in one difficult exam is actually much easier than becoming the best in college. And that's also why setting mini challenges is so effective. Because that way you understand what to spend time on, what to focus, and if you really want to go down that path. The second tip to manage your time like the 1% is to use tools. Being rich means that you have access to a lot more resources that make your life pretty much easier. And that's why rich people have the best diet, they have the best personal coaches, plus they have many assistants and many managers who support them in their daily lives. It's only because they have those monetary resources that they can achieve extraordinary things. So you comparing your goals against a rich guy is really unfair, because you're competing against 20 people at least. But what can we do to be at least as productive as them? It's the use of technology. Today we have one advantage that people 20 years ago didn't have, and that's artificial intelligence. I want to show you something. In a recent video of mine, I talked about how I set up AI agents that do daily stuff for me. I use my agents as assistants that read through my emails, answer the most important ones, and plus organize some meetings maybe and do market research for me. But not only in my professional advantage I try to take advantage of that, I also use them in my private life as well. For example, I have an agent in place that acts like my personal consultant when it comes to buying stuff online. It researches the best deals in the market. So for example, if I need a new pair of shoes, it goes online, it already knows what type of brands I'm interested in, looks for the best deals, and then comes up with a recommendation. So what you can see from that is I set up the AI agents as my personal assistants because I don't have the money to hire people that do the job for me, but I have the technological knowledge that is required to set up AI agents. And if you're interested in how I set up those agents in detail, then I can definitely recommend you to watch this video over here. The third tip I want to give to you is to have the outworking mentality. If you're one of the guys who just wants to work from 9 to 5, there is nothing wrong with that. But then this video might not be the right one for you. Here we're talking about how to manage your time like the top 1%. And those guys have an extraordinary working mentality. For example, Grant Cardone said in a recent interview, "I don't work from 9 to 5, I work 95 hours a week." And that's around 14 hours a day. Now, if you're thinking that he's exaggerating simply because it sounds too difficult to achieve for you, then I would recommend to think again. So for those who don't know my story, as I said, I was very lazy in school. I slept almost for 10 days, couldn't concentrate on a task for more than 15 minutes. And still I was able to turn my life around at 25 years of age. You're not born with discipline. You're not born with dedication. You're not born with having a great attention span. This is something you have to work for. The very first mini challenge I set up in my life was to never wake up later than 6 a.m. Whether I slept on the day before at 8 p.m. or 1 a.m., I had that one rule which was simple: never wake up later than 6 a.m. Because the mornings are so important to improve your life. You don't believe me? Let's take a look at stats. A recent Inc. magazine survey from CEOs across America's fastest growing companies shows that 37% of those CEOs wake up at 6 a.m. At number 2 was 5 a.m. with 27%. Third place 7 a.m. with 22%. And finally 8 a.m. and 4 a.m. shared the last place with each 5%. So basically what this means is more than half of them are waking up between 5 and 6 a.m. The reason is simple: because mornings are the time that allows them to focus. I can get stuff done too without any interruptions in the mornings, and that's why I wake up at 4:45 a.m. every day. The fourth tip to manage your time like the top 1% is to master noise. Okay, as we discussed, morning hours are the ones which are most productive, right? And the rest of the day is full with noise and many distractions, right? Who doesn't know this situation? We are prepared to study at least for a few hours, sit down, and the next thing we know is our best friend is texting us some funny memes. And once we open our eyes, few hours passed by and we found ourselves doom scrolling. I will not sit here and tell you that you should ignore all the noise, because it's literally impossible. A recent study across 31,000 workers from 31 different countries found that we get interrupted every 2 minutes. So on your daily shift from 9 to 5, it's really likely that you encounter 275 distractions. Look at this graphic over here. You start working on a task and after some time has passed, you enter deep focus mode because you found your flow, you are focused and your attention is on top. In this situation, you streamline all your attention towards one task. And as you keep getting more and more focused on that task, after a while you get interrupted. For example, through a colleague that wanted to talk to you for a minute. So what do we do in such a situation? Instead of complaining and accusing your surrounding as the primary reason why you can't be as productive as you like to be, make a game out of it. Imagine you winning over every single distraction by shortening the time that's usually needed to enter deep focus mode. I've done this for so many years. When I work in a cafe or in an office and a colleague or a friend wants to talk with me, then I have a short conversation with them and then I challenge myself to get into deep focus mode as fast as possible again. So I turn an annoying situation into a game. So after that short distraction, I don't need to order my thoughts, I don't need to take a break, I just want to win over every situation. And one of the most important things when we talk about staying focused is that we only take breaks that are planned. So a random interruption or a short conversation is not a reason to take a break. It's just random noise, and after that distraction, as we discussed, your goal is to get into deep focus as fast as possible. And that goes hand in hand with my fifth tip to manage your time like the top 1%, and that's to take breaks. Okay, when people say they work 24 hours a day, that's not true. The trick they use is simple. They set the bar so high that it's literally impossible for you to achieve. So you don't even dare to try it out for yourself, so you start admiring them for their work dedication. But you have to know that this is not true. Nobody can work 24 hours a day. It's not possible. Look again at this graphic. On the top right, we have already discussed it, it was exiting deep flow. And the fact is that you don't exit deep flow by just distractions. You can also exit deep flow by working too much at a time on one specific task. According to unanimous opinion, the average concentration for one task is around 4 to 6 hours a day. Also, another article in the Harvard Health magazine underlined that taking breaks between work sessions is important. So this means if you plan to work on a task for, let's say, 6 hours, then the best approach is to chop that 6 hours down into single pieces. Then those 6 hours get into, let's say, 50-minute working sessions, 10-minute breaks, 50-minute working sessions, 10-minute breaks until that 6 hours is full. That way you've worked 5 hours in total and had 1 hour break. And in each of that 10-minute breaks, you can stand up, go for a walk, take some fresh air. But what you should definitely avoid is doom scrolling on social media or anything that requires your attention. I hope that this video helped you to manage your time like the top 1%. There are a lot of other things we can also optimize in our time management. What's your best tip? Share it in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. Bye!